Hi y'all, I'm Lauren, a PhD chemist, and today we're going to do my skincare inventory. Because I am a chemist, we're not just going to simply count the inventory, we're actually going to categorize it by functional group, which, as I look around at everything, may have been a mistake, but hopefully you'll stick around and find out with me. If you saw my makeup inventory, then you'll know that I simply own a lot, which is true with this category as well. So as a chemist, I find skincare fascinating, so different mechanisms of action or interactions between chemicals, so on and so forth. So skincare kind of allows me to play a little bit as a chemist, which can be quite dangerous due to the amount that I have. For example, this antioxidant is good for anti-aging. This humectant is good for plumping the skin. This encapsulated retinol is good for keeping away fine lines and wrinkles, and so on and so forth. So once I actually start looking into it, it's more like I have a lab rather than a routine. So today we're going to be categorizing my entire skincare inventory by functional chemistry group rather than just counting everything that I have. We're going to start off by counting all of my cleansers, which is the first step of my skincare routine. So for eye makeup removers, I have two. So I have the Lancome bifacial double action eye makeup remover. So I have a big size and a little size of that. So that's two. And then for just makeup remover as micellar water, I have one of those. So that makes three. For first step cleanse, I typically use either an oil or a balm. So I have one cleansing oil and I have two cleansing balms that I have not used yet. So that makes six. And then for the final cleansing is just a gentle cleanse at the end. So for that, I have this one, which has probably one or two uses left. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then I do actually have, I missed it because it was at the bottom, I do actually have one more cleansing balm as well. So that makes 2 eye cleansers, 1 micellar water, 1 cleansing oil, 3 balms, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 gentle cleansers. So in total, I have 18 cleansers. So as a chemist, I find this quite hilarious because essentially that means I have 18 different ways to essentially wash dirt off my face. And they are all just glorified surfactant systems that essentially work in the exact same way and just get rinsed off the skin. So in reality, I would like to own maybe 3 in total, 4 I guess being the realistic number, because I do prefer to have a eye makeup remover. So this is how I typically get my mascara, waterproof mascara and other things off, because I don't like to rub my eyes a lot. So having one of those, keeping one micellar water around just for the days that I'm too lazy to do a double cleanse. I don't actually prefer oil cleansers, so I'm trying to get through this one. I would prefer to have a balm cleanser that I use as my first way to get off makeup, and then have a gentle cleanse at the end to finish removing dirt. Overall, the balm cleanser is really good as a anhydrous cleanser, so it's typically fats, oils, things like that. And it is used to get makeup off. So again, like dissolves like. So this is able to get a lot of the makeup off first, and then I can use a second water-based gentle cleanser and this helps get rid of like sweat and things of that nature. So that's typically how I like to remove my makeup at the end of the day. But again, there's no need to have 18 of them. That is fairly excessive. Next up, we're going to count all of the toners that I have. Just for knowledge sake, toners are typically just a mild humectant, so a way to keep moisture in your skin, a gentle active, or a pH adjuster. So I typically keep 2 different types. So I either have an acid-based toner for a mild exfoliant, or I have a hydration-based toner. So we'll go ahead and start counting. So 1, 2, I have toner pads for 3, spray toner 4, clarifying toner for 5. I count the snail mucin plus peptide as a toner because that's the step that I use it in. 6. Again, I have an acid toner, so this is the ordinary glycolic acid toner. I typically only use this under my arms, but it still is a toner, so I'm counting it for 7, 8, 9, so 2 more spray toners, and then I have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and so that is 18 total toners. And what you will see is some of them I have dates on the front. So after a while, I started putting the date that I received it onto the box, so that way I would know which ones to use first and which ones to put in the back of rotation. These toners are essentially just glorified layering steps. I do find them essential during the winter whenever my skin is drier, but there is no reason to have so many of them. So again, I have 18 for this category. Next, we're going to talk about my vitamin C serums. So for that one, I actually only have 4. So I have the Beekman 1802 Golden Booster, I have the vitamin C booster powder from Good Molecules, and then I have 2 of the Timeless vitamin C serums that I got on Black Friday when they were half off last year. So for this one, I did not want to keep a lot of them because L-ascorbic acid is highly unstable, so having backups is not beneficial. For this category, I mostly want to look at the packaging. So for example, this 1802 Golden Booster from Beekman is in a glass bottle that has no way to keep it protected from light, and that'll make L-ascorbic acid go off faster. So I went ahead and purchased these 2 serum vitamin C's from Timeless last holiday Black Friday season because they do come in glass, which will keep it a little bit colder, but you can't see light through it. And so keeping it in a cold, dark place that light can't get to it will make the vitamin C serum lasts longer. So that's why I went ahead with this, and I'm going to hopefully get through those 2 that I ordered within the year, and then I can just continue to keep ordering those on Black Friday at a discounted rate. On to the next category, which will be retinols. So for that, I only have 3. I'm currently using the Holly Frog Moonbeam Retinol Treatment Serum. I do have a backup of the Dream Booster Bakuchiol from Beekman 1802. And then I have a small sample of the IT Cosmetics Hello Results Wrinkle Reduction Daily Retinol Serum and Cream. So for a retinol, I try really hard not to keep backups. They're typically only good for about 6 to 12 months maximum. The way that it works, in case you're curious, is that it starts off as retinol, OL, and it oxidizes to what's called retinaldehyde, which is 11 times faster. And then that further oxidizes to what can be utilized, which is all trans retinoic acid, which is better known as tretinoin, which regulates gene expression, increases collagen, and helps for cell turnover. So you want to try to make sure that you're not keeping too many backups. I try to also use retinaldehyde whenever possible. So on packages, you'll see that called Retinol, sometimes with an AL instead of an OL, just because it is 11 times faster. So these that I currently have are ones that I either got in subscription boxes, or for example, I got this Beekman 1802 Dream Booster as a gift in the advent calendar that I had last year. And so I haven't actually been able to choose my own retinol for quite a long time. And so I want to try to get through everything that I have, actually move to one that I find the most efficacious, just because I know as a chemist which one would be the best with my skin. So I want to actually start choosing my own retinol and not just continue to use ones that I've gotten in subscription boxes in the past. Moving on to the hydration portion of my skincare. So these are all basically the same, just in different packaging. So it's typically either a humectant, glycerin, peptide, something along that nature that's just going to bind water and bring it into your skin and make sure you have a plumpness to your skin. So let's see how many different ways I have to do the same thing in different packaging. So I'm gonna go ahead and count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's an actual serum stick. Interesting, a little different. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a many, 11, 12, 13, 14 of those. And then I have a mini, 15, another mini, 16, 17 from the advent calendar, 18 with all the little encapsulations from Rock. And then I'm also just gonna count my Faded Topicals Brightening and Clearing Serum in here as well. So I believe that was 20. Sorry, that was actually 19. So 19 different ways to plump my skin, which is excessive to say the least. On to the exfoliating portion of my skincare inventory. So for this one, we're talking AHAs, BHAs, PHAs, and enzyme exfoliants. So for those, this is where having an excess can actually become dangerous, because you don't want to use exfoliants on your skin too often. I believe the recommended dosage is 2 to 3 times a week, and that's because it can actually damage your skin barrier and then cause detrimental effects down the road. So this is where excess is not always great, because trying to move quickly to get through things can actually end up damaging your skin barrier. So for that, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this one is pretty strong. It's a 20% night acid. 6, 7, 8, and I'm going to go ahead and count my Retinols Shot 100 in this category as well. So this is 9, and that's just because this is something that can damage your skin barrier if used too often as well. So I try to use this no more than 1 to 2 times a week, just because I do not want to damage my skin barrier. So again, that was 9 different exfoliants that I have to get through before I can be done with this category. On to all of the masks that I have. So I have 2 single-use sheet masks, as well as this container that I'm currently using of 30 daily sheet masks. as well. So I have some left in this unknown amount. And then for the other masks that I have this one from Fenty Skin. I have this Glow Recipe clay mask. I have this Jeffree Star mask that I got a while back, a Biro Peach Tea Kombucha clay mask, a Aceology green tea mask. I have the Mud Masky Melting Mud Cleansing Mask. I have the Dr. Loretta Tightening Detox Mask. I have a mask from Versed. I also have a Chantecaille Jasmine Lily and Calming Mask. I also have a couple of little samples from Sicily that I got in an advent calendar, as well as yet another clay mask. And this one is from Abib, so this is a Korean brand that I have, as well as a Beauty of Joseon Red Bean Refreshing Pore Mask. So in total, I have 16 different masks with an unknown number in this daily use. I know there was 30 to start with, but like I said, I've used quite a few already. So in reality, I would like to get this category down to 3 total. So a clay mask, an exfoliating mask, and a hydrating mask. The clay mask in particular is from Porous Minerals that help to soak up excess oil. So that's not a problem that I have with very frequently, but I would like to keep one around for the summertime when it is hot and my skin gets a little bit more greasy, oily. An exfoliating mask is really good for renewal. The different types of exfoliators help to break down the interstitial glue holding dead cells together, so it helps to slough those off the top layer of skin. And then lastly, a hydration mask, which is the one that I would like to probably use the most frequently, at least once a week. And that is to keep moisture. So again, it has typically humectants that draw water into the skin and then emollients that help seal it in. So that is for moisture retention in the skin. And since I tend to have more dry leaning skin, that is one that I would like to keep around and utilize at least once a week. But again, there's no reason to have so many of them. Moving on to all of the eye creams that I have. Most eye creams are just moisturizers with different marketing, so smaller packaging, more expensive, things of that nature. So something to note, some of them are more beneficial than others, so they can have thicker emollients to help seal everything in. Some have caffeine for puffiness, but for the most parts, eye moisturizers and eye creams and things like this are not really a necessity. So I do find that I tend to seek them out a lot because otherwise I forget to take my moisturizer up to that area. So that's one way for me to just focus in and make sure I'm getting that very thin skin around my eyes, the proper hydration that it needs. But as you'll see, I again in this category have way too many. So I have one set of reusable eye masks. So for these, you just put the eye cream on first and then you put this on to keep the hydration in for longer. So one of those. I have 2 sets of single-use eye masks that I need to use. And then I also have 2 containers of patches for eye masks. I believe each have, 30 pairs in each one of these that I have not opened yet. So those are all of the single-use eye products that I have. Now we'll move on to eye creams. So I have a lot of very small samples. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 from Avant, and then the two that I'm currently using, 16 and 17. So overall, I have 17 eye creams in addition to all of the eye patches that I have. The chemist in me is very concerned with the amount of excess that I see in this next category. So we're going to be doing moisturizers next, and that is because moisturizers are all pretty much the same. So they're all occlusive, humectants, emollients, and again, just a whole bunch of different packaging for things that do the same. So in reality, I would probably only need two. So one light one for the summer and one heavy one for the winter. Otherwise, I don't really need a ton of them. I do find that moisturizers are something that you get quite often in subscription boxes because it's not like makeup where, you know, it's sensitive to the color or, you know, you need to match people's skin tones or anything like that. So putting a moisturizer in a subscription box is very easy, and hence the reason why I have so many. So yeah. Now we're just gonna do the dreaded counting of all of my moisturizers. So starting off, I have this balm stick, which I count in my moisturizer drawer, so that's how I use it. So 1, 2, 3, mini 4, the one I'm currently using, 5, 6, 7, this one's for the neck, which is no different, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, another mini, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, running out of space, 18, 19, 20, and 21 different moisturizers that I'm going to have to get through before I allow myself to buy any new ones. So that is disconcerting to actually realize. Won't be buying moisturizers for probably years to come at this rate. So that's exciting. I hope I actually like the ones that I'm using, because I guess we'll find out together. Next we have my face oils, which just serve as a sealant. So they're mostly emollient blends like plant oils, triglycerides, esters, things of that nature. So they're all fairly simple. They don't hydrate, they just seal in moisture after you've used your hydration layers. So I have the e.l.f. Blue Tea Sleep Night Oil, the one I am currently using, which is a strawberry booster, which smells a lot like strawberry oil, so not a huge fan, but we'll continue to use until it's fully used up. I have the Ole Hendrickson Hydration Barrier Nourishing Face Oil, and then I have 2 of the Omega Milky Oils from Beekman 1802. So that is 5 in total, which is not terrible for this category, but I have to force myself to use face oil at the end of the night. So these will probably take me at least a year to get through. Moving on to the second to the last category that I own, and that is going to be sunscreens. So this is probably the most justified category of skincare that I feel like I own. And that is because there's different chemicals for sunscreens, there's different textures, there's different use cases. So for example, there are 2 main types of sunscreens. So there's mineral sunscreens like zinc oxide, or there are chemical sunscreens like avobenzone and other types. So for mineral, that is going to be a physical barrier that you're putting down. It actually creates an immediate shield over your skin and bounces those UV rays off. So some negatives are that it tends to leave a white cast, but it is typically better for more sensitive skin types versus a chemical sunscreen, which actually absorbs the UV rays and releases them as heat. And so those are going to take a little bit more time to act. So typically between about 15 to 30 minutes after you put it on, and you're not gonna have typically that white cast that you see from mineral sunscreens, but they're not gonna be as good for sensitive skin. So they tend to be more chemically elegant formulas, but if you have any type of sensitivity, then chemical sunscreens can not be your friend. But essentially this is the most science-backed category that I own for skincare. So if you want to do one thing for your skin to keep it as youthful as possible, sunscreen would be what to do, because again, it is the most scientifically backed of any of the skincare that I've shown today. Now to move on and count the ones that I have. So I'm currently using this one from Skin 1104, and it is the Madagascar Scintilla Water Fit Sun Serum, SPF 50 PA+++. That's the one I'm currently using. Up next, I have a sun cushion that I need to use, as well as a Beauty of Joseon sunscreen. So as you'll see, I do tend to like Korean or Asian brand sunscreens. They tend to work well for me. I also have this La Roche-Posay SPF 30 Moisturizer Plus sunscreen that I keep in my sunscreen category. I have a Ultraviolet SPF 50 Queen Screen that I got from an advent calendar that I need to use, as well as the Naked Sunday Collagen Glow 100% Mineral Sunscreen SPF 50 that I need to use. So I do only have, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sunscreens, and I will easily be able to use all of those within the year and before they expire. So sunscreens also have expiration dates, so make sure you're using them before they expire. Final category that I'm going to show today is just going to be all of the patches that I own. So I have these Bloom Power Patches Purifying Nose Strips. So I have a set of 4 that came in a subscription box. I have 6 hydrocolloid patches from Mighty Patch, so pimple patches, as well as some Panoxyl pimple patches, and the Starface pimple patches that I got. So again, no matter what pimple patch you're using, they're all essentially, or should, most are hydrocolloid patches. So again, it's just pulling the gunk out of the skin and protecting lesions and preventing picking. So they're all pretty much the same. I do like these ones from Starface just because they are cuter than the rest, but you're paying for the packaging, so just make sure you know that. It works pretty much the exact same way as every other one. So they tend to come, again, a lot in subscription boxes and everything else, but again, multiples of the exact same thing that do the exact same thing. In closing, I want to talk about some revelations that this skincare inventory has shown me. And that is that as a chemist, this is not just overconsumption. What this has shown me is that I have a formulation redundancy issue. So I'm not owning 100+ unique skincare solutions. What I actually own is a lot of the exact same chemical functions for the same type of formula. This includes cleansing, hydration, exfoliating, barrier repair, everything that I have mentioned in this skincare inventory. So what this does is this shows that this is how skincare marketing works overall. So realistically, it's just different packaging, similar chemistry, and an endless way to justify excess is what this is. Moving forward, my goal isn't no skincare buying. It's to only buy by functional group when I run out of everything that I have. So I want to make sure that I am not buying into the hype that is around a product, but rather the function that it will actually be utilized for in my routine. Because honestly, I don't have need for anything else at the moment. So as you've seen in this inventory, I pretty much already have the lab. So there isn't anything that I can think of that I need off the top of my head. So therefore, I want to make sure that I am not buying by hype, but rather by the function that it will perform in my routine. So that's it for my skincare inventory for today. Hopefully you had an interesting time watching and getting to see a little bit of my background in explaining some of the chemical functions that this skincare will be able to facilitate. If you enjoy these types of Chemist videos, then please stick around. I have more on my channel and I'm planning more to come as well. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day and I will see you next time in my next video. Thanks y'all. Bye.